Time for the ride home in ENC.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
This is your 5 o'clock drive with Patrick Johnson.
Holy mackerel!
More news, more interviews, more ECU stories than you can shake a stick at. Hey, stop shaking that stick. This is the Patrick Johnson Show.
Pirates win! Pirates win!
On 94.3 The Game.
All right, hello again, everybody, and welcome into the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game, 94.3thegame.com, our related social media channels, and the IBX Media app, which is free for download at Google Play or App Store anytime, anywhere, any place. Carry us with you 24/7. Philip the Rep Pilkington is alongside. Nice to have you along for this trip today down the sports world rabbit hole. So we're doing it live today here. We got some great guests coming up. We're going to talk with our pal Brian Mull.
Do it live!
That's right.
Do it live!
We're going to talk to Brian Mull in a little bit, talk golf with him, with the Canadian Open this upcoming week, and then right around the corner, the U.S. Open. And we also are going to have Faith Kane, who played softball at Syracuse in the ACC and is a softball analyst on ESPN, ESPN Plus, and the ACC Network and ACC Network Extra. So she'll be on with us to talk about the Women's College World Series, the Softball World Series, which starts tonight. And Pilk, for the first time, it'll have no Oklahoma in it. I don't know what we're going to do. But, you know, it's sort of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Oklahoma, if they are indeed the evil empire of women's or of softball, then certainly Texas, and to a degree Texas Tech, but certainly Texas qualifies as an evil empire. Just anyway, because they're the Longhorns. Yeah. So that's the reason they would qualify as the evil empire.
Well, Texas is going to regardless of the sport. Texas Tech, what I will give them, because that's your point, yeah. What I will give Texas Tech in this, they had never even been to a super regional before this year.
Yeah,
so
they just
at least they're
over $1 million. I mean, that's
I know. I get it.
It's softball, $1 million. I mean,
I know.
Look, great for the athlete. We're doing it for the athlete. Speaking of which, we had heard some murmurs that some names were going into the transfer portal. So far, Pilk checked this throughout the show, but also check it here in the next few minutes. It doesn't appear that that's going to be the case. So. Well, I shouldn't say that. The names we were hearing, I guess, have not entered. I understand through some sources that negotiations are going on, and that one player in particular has apparently agreed to a deal that would bring that player back, and that would be a good thing for the Pirates. So until some of this gets kind of officially vetted and sorted out, that's what I'm hearing. Is that some frontline guys, some core guys, things are being worked out to bring them back. I guess, Pilk, I don't know if he got in prior to us. We just didn't mention him, or if he got in after the show, but Jaden Winter got in. And, you know, I think he graduated. I think it's a case of a guy just, had one more year of eligibility and didn't look like he was going to have much of a role, so decided to move on. I think I won't say it's the best thing for all parties involved, but I think it could be the best thing for all parties involved. So I don't know if that was a yesterday move or a Monday move when we did mention Ian White and Lance Williams, which from what I understand, too, due to some other sources I've talked to, that, you know, the Lance Williams move was a little surprising to a degree. You know, there may have been some personality conflict there, but it was something where that ECU was his only D1 offer. He took it. He kind of bet on himself and feels like he'll get an opportunity from what I understand. Now, with all that said, Roger Vergara either got in after the show yesterday.
Actually, I looked it up. It was before. We just didn't catch it, so that was on me.
Okay, so Roger Vergara got in yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, I don't think I thought I saw it at some point yesterday. I didn't mention it because, you know, Vergara, while he played some, was not, you know, it wasn't surprising that he got in. The Lance Williams thing is surprising that he got into, you know, the average fan. And again, I got some insight into that today, that a little bit into his mindset and what he was maybe thinking and that sort of thing. So It kind of made sense once that was described to me. But the other names, again, no surprise so far. The names that were deals have either been worked on or actively being worked on would certainly be a blow if they were to go in. But all indications are one is solidly coming back, and one of the other main cogs that has maybe entertained the idea of entering, or maybe is even being contacted by a certain institution, reportedly, or at least according to sources that both Pilk and I have heard. That person is talking with them as well about coming up with it. And I think it's a little bit more than money in that situation too. I think there's some position deals that are being discussed about maybe moving a position and that kind of thing. So it's quite interesting, quite interesting indeed. So that's kind of where we are with that. Anything that is broken here, Pilk? You look like you have something.
So about an hour ago, Taylor Grubbs entered the portal, obviously relief pitcher, only threw 5 2/3 throughout the year, so not a real shock, but he is in the portal.
Yeah. Okay. That's the latest and the greatest, and Pilk will have the latest and the greatest for you. So this morning on Talk of the Town, the Legend Award-winning Hall of Fame broadcaster Henry Hinton, the Big Hen, was going through an article, and I think it's, as we've read through it earlier today and then reread it before the show here. It's, I guess, written. It was taken from the SB Nation site. It looks like for the Hokies, for Virginia Tech, because the genesis of it is, where does Virginia Tech go? And this talks about 2030, and we've covered it here, of course, the ACC, ESPN grant of rights. And how that is controlling the conference, college football, being the money driver and all this thing with ESPN in particular and the ACC network. Anyway, this article kind of theorizes, Pilk, that the SEC and Big Ten, which is now the B1G, that's the logo, right? The B1G, they would become what they are calling super high dollar conferences. And he theorizes that, obviously, Florida State and Clemson are trying to go and will go in the aftermath of settling the litigation with the ACC. And that 2030 is kind of that mark where 3 or 4 teams will arrive at a grant of rights release fee that is low enough for them to hit the bricks. Exit fees of $75 million. The settlement cut those exit fees to that, and that is Clemson and Florida State. This article kind of theorizes that Miami would be involved and that North Carolina would be involved. And then where does that lead Virginia Tech? And it talks about the money situation, and there's maybe not enough money there for Virginia Tech to come up with this. I guess the administration there might not want their teams to participate in a professional league. And then they talk about staff and facilities and just all of the ancillary things that go around with running a top-notch, top-flight SEC level, Big Ten level athletic department or football program. And so I just kind of, when I kind of hear about some money that's being thrown around today for Pirate baseball, and look, I mean, if you can keep your players, you can afford to do it, that's a great thing. But I kind of wonder, and I always look at things through the sphere of where does East Carolina fall in all of this? Because that's obviously part of our deal here. I'm an alum, Pilk's an alum. A lot of people that work in our organization graduated from East Carolina. A lot of people who didn't, but have moved to the area are Pirate fans. I mean, we're very involved in the whole thing, and you just always kind of wonder, where is this going? Where will this be driven to? What is the end game here? I don't think there's any doubt when it comes to the level of professional, 2 kind of big mega league professional leagues they're talking about. Yeah, it'd be great to have a seat at the table, but you got to do a lot to get that seat at the table. And what is the number we hear, Pilk? Is it 80 that they say, or 70, something like that? East Carolina, if you do it based on athletic budget, believe it or not, East Carolina would fall to within right on the bubble of that realm.
Well, that 80 was a cop-out number. So if you look at the teams that currently reside in the Power 4 conferences plus Washington State and Oregon State, so the Power 5 from a year
Notre
ago.
Dame.
That's in
Don't
Notre
forget
Dame.
Notre Dame.
And Notre Dame. It was exactly 80. So that's where they were getting it was really the Power 5 of basketball was,
Power 5 of you mean
well, I'm
with
saying
the Big
because
East?
you're counting. No, well, you're right, I guess. But I was saying I was including Notre Dame. I should have just said the Power 5 of football, I guess, plus Notre Dame. But
P4 and then But if you talk to the basketball coaches, a lot in the ACC feel like the Big East should be included in whatever this higher level is. Yeah. Well, but then the argument is, why shouldn't the American? And for every, maybe USF to a degree, East Carolina, I think North Texas, for every, everybody's got their problems, of course. Texas, San Antonio, from a football standpoint, as much resources they put into that and the facilities that they have, they could probably do something. So how does all this play out at the end of the day would be, because, I just can't imagine, unless the money is just so big for the coaches, that a coach is whoever's coaching Vanderbilt, whoever's coaching maybe Wake Forest, because we know Wake Forest and Boston College probably can't afford to go to this so-called Super 2 league.
No.
I mean, hell, this guy's right in Virginia Tech can't afford it. And you say it's a cop-out, but, they got to have enough to play one another. Especially when it comes to something like basketball. They're going to have to play people.
They're going to
have to play people.
I feel like this break-off, if it's going to happen, it needs to be a football thing.
Well, but look, the SEC and especially the Big Ten are awfully proud of their basketball all of a sudden.
But like you said, if the Big East didn't play, if the ACC's not playing, if Gonzaga's not a part of this, the intrigue of March Madness is Cinderellas. And,
that's true.
Pitt does not count as a Cinderella because they would have been an 8 seed in the old school tournament. But, hey, guess what? We let all 80 of our teams in, 80 Power 5 teams, and this team's the 78th best one. That's not a Cinderella. Northwestern is not a Cinderella. You got to be Northern Iowa or Mount St. Mary's.
Now, we're cratering towards 2030. Or whenever these, new grant, because they all are different. It's not like they're all the same throughout every conference.
Yeah.
Every conference has its own, end date where the exit fees become manageable or become just by time whittled down to become manageable. And, to me, Pilk, you've got to, they're going to give away everything they can to try to keep this thing intact as it is, because it's more lucrative in many respects than trying to go something totally different would be. Oh. And, what's interesting is, to me, the talk in recent weeks of let's expand the tournament to, 72, 78, something like that.
Yeah. 72.
I think if you doubled it, you just play one more round.
You like 128?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, 128. If you doubled it from the 64 to make it, you'd play one more round.
I've always kind of liked the instead of doubling it, just because then every Power 5 team would almost be guaranteed. What if you did 96?
That's what they want.
I know.
But
what if you did 96? So like 1 through 8 get a bye. 9 plays 24.
I think there needs to be an award, for a good season. Now, you start getting to 7, 8, 9. You think there's people now that get ticked off if they get left on the other side of the bubble line. Imagine that.
Win your conference tournament. Just ask ECU
well,
baseball.
I
you don't like it? Win your conference tournament.
Agree.
Ask Cliff Godwin, baby.
But that doesn't, that doesn't play. But, all this talk about the SEC, we want X amount of guaranteed spots. Now the Big Ten, or at least Ryan Day, says we should get X amount. These things, they will acquiesce to the SEC and the Big Ten on these things. They will get guaranteed spots into the college football playoff.
Which is horse manure.
Well, it is. But they will be acquiesced to because it's an effort to try to hold this thing together just a little bit longer. It's not quite a house of cards, but it's as close as you can be. It's a pretty tenuous arrangement among the parties involved.
You're right.
Not a house of cards, just yet.
It's frustrating, though, to hear it because the ACC didn't go to the NCAA tournament in 2017, 2018, back in the day of Virginia, Carolina, Duke, Louisville, Syracuse, Notre Dame, all being national championship contenders. You know what? We should be guaranteed 8 spots in the NCAA tournament. Like, they didn't act like that. But the SEC and the Big Ten,
well, they've had the football.
Power hungry. Money
really,
hungry.
it's the SEC.
Money's the root of all evil, baby.
I think this is the first year that the Big Ten, well, they've won back-to-back.
Yeah.
Won back-to-back. But, I mean, prior to that, a lot of Southern schools. But they were very proud of what they were doing there in the Big Ten. And again, this will, I think, all be acquiesced to. To me, you would see before the 2030 separation comes, you would see something along the lines of, okay, we're going to expand the tournament with the understanding that things stay as they are. What they extended to 96, 128, 73, whatever. And they will give up maybe not all the guaranteed spots, but they will give more guaranteed spots. I mean, they've already said they'll reseed how they do things as far as who gets buys and that kind of thing. So.
Yeah.
All right, we can talk about that plenty. Just that article spurred some thought and conversation. Pilk will have an update coming up on the other side of our next segment. He'll tell you who's in the portal if anybody gets in there in the next 15 minutes and it's announced and we get it. But when we come back, we'll talk the college softball championship series. Best of 3 begins tonight out in Oklahoma City. And we're going to have my buddy Faith Kane on with college softball analyst for ESPN, ESPN Plus et al. We'll talk with Faith on the other side about no Oklahoma, Texas and Texas Tech, and then Brian Mull talking golf with us. So stay tuned here on the PJ Show.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
Are you ready to tackle those yard and garden projects? Come by East Carolina Tractor and Fleet, your local Coyote dealer, and check out their great selection of residential and commercial Coyote tractors. From zero-turn mowers to compact tractors to skid steer loaders, they've got you covered. Some with 0% financing for qualified buyers. Stop by your hometown Coyote dealer, East Carolina Tractor and Fleet, across from the Pitt County Fairgrounds or online at ectfleet.com. East Carolina Tractor and Fleet. We dig dirt.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers in Greenville, plus the all-new Tiebreakers in Winterville. Do real burgers better than anybody. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, real burgers at its best.
Everybody loves burgers.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout Eastern North Carolina. Get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
Remember, get the podcast of the show on the IBX Media app or where you get your podcasts.
I listen on my Apple Watch.
Smart speaker.
Listen while you work.
I listen everywhere.
The Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Let's welcome in at this time here on the Patrick Johnson Show, Faith Kane, ESPN Plus college softball analyst, has called some games in the American this year, also with the ACC Network Extra, and was out in Oklahoma City last week taking in the Women's College World Series. She joins us from parts unknown this morning ahead of Game 1 of the Women's College World Series. Is the big headline here that we are beginning Game 1 of the national championship for women's softball, or for softball tonight with the Women's College World Series, or is it a bigger story that Oklahoma is not there this year?
I think it's awesome that we're about to have a team that hasn't won the Women's College World Series yet. So having a Texas kind of championship mindset, and I'm super excited about it. You have Nyjah Kennedy, Tegan Kavan, also Oklahoma going for a 4-time national championship, or going for a 5-time national championship, and they've had those 4, but this is a team that's still going to be competitive with years to come. So I think more than anything, I think it's awesome that we have 2 new teams that are going to be first-time national champions. I think that's got to be your storyline.
Okay. One of the things that excites me about the sport, and it's a great sport to call. You and I have worked together on it. You've done a lot of games. I've done a lot of games the last several years, and I enjoy the heck out of it. I really have enjoyed doing softball the last handful of years in a bigger volume. The thing that I really like about softball is the pace of it, and there's, like baseball, great storylines. There's great characters like there is in baseball. The coaches are generally pretty good to deal with. So there's a lot of positives with the sport. I like there's a lot of snappiness, and to get to know the strategy. While it is obviously similar in baseball, it is different in a lot of ways. So I say all this to say the sport is growing. There seems to be a lot of interest. If you look no further than the crowds that packed in all week in Oklahoma City and will be on hand even tonight as Texas Tech and Texas play Game 1. So what did you find out there in your visit and work you were doing out there in Oklahoma City last week? I mean, is the enthusiasm and growth of the sport evident?
Absolutely. You see so many fans out there. There's so many little kids, parents, everything, but also just the energy. That's one of my favorite things about watching the sport now. And I will say, hands down, this is probably in years one of the most entertaining Women's College World Series that we have seen. And it's not just because of what the players are doing out there on the field. I mean, we've seen walk-offs, we've seen extra inning games already, but also the fact that you have fans that are in the stands dressing in crazy costumes. You have players who are throwing bats down and, doing the little bat flip, and just so much excitement. And you can see it. There are so many fans from the young of 8 years old all the way up to women who have been watching this sport for a long time. So it's just really cool to see the growth of the sport and how much it has just continued to grow. I want to say that this year gives me the same excitement that we saw when women's college basketball took that big jump when Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese were competing in the Final Four. This is the type of energy that you're getting at the Women's College World Series this year.
Faith Kane, former Syracuse Orange softball star and analyst on ESPN Plus and ACC Network Extra for softball, joins us here as we preview tonight's College World Series for softball, Game 1 between Texas Tech and Texas. All right, give us the primer on the games tonight. I mean, tell us a little bit about these two teams, and then how you see this thing going.
It's going to be a tough one. It is going to be a battle. And the reason why I say that too is both these teams have already faced off each other earlier this year. Texas ended up getting both of those wins against Texas Tech, but game number 1 was actually a nail biter. Texas won 2-1. You had Tegan Kavan and Nyjah Kennedy both in the circle, and it was a close one. It literally came down to an error from Texas Tech for Texas to get that win, but a big pitcher's duel. And I think that's the same thing that we're going to see throughout this entire series. Essentially, Texas has the bats. They have the second best batting average in the entire NCAA, and they're going to be tough to limit. But you also have someone who is Nyjah Kennedy in the circle for Texas Tech. She is a pitcher that is a once in a decade type pitcher. This is a player that we will be talking about on the level of Jenny Finch type level, Monica Abbott, because she is that good. Her ERA is below 1. And if Texas even gives up 1 or 2 runs, that is going to be tough just because of how good she is in the circle. That is, it feels like a mountain to climb to try to score a run against Texas Tech. And it's all because Nyjah's in that circle. I mean, she earned that $1 million NIL deal for a reason, and she's shown her stuff this year. She is going to be tough to beat. But I think overall, what I think having a pitcher like Nyjah Kennedy, I think that's going to be tough to beat. I think she is just too good in the circle for Texas Tech. And Texas is going to have a tough time hitting off her. But overall, it's going to be a pitcher's duel, and it's going to be close. And I'm so excited that this is one of the first years in many years, because Oklahoma has been so dominant, where I feel like people are coming into this championship series like, I don't know who's going to win. You hear those predictions right now, and everyone's kind of saying, I'm not sure. And so I think that's what makes it awesome.
All right, I'm going to get a prediction from you, but I want to ask you one more thing, Faith, and that is, Texas obviously has more money than God. The athletic department does, so we know they've probably put resource in their program, and perhaps NIL in their program. Kennedy, as you mentioned, it's been heralded gets the $1 million NIL deal. So, I mean, I understand what you're saying about Oklahoma, but is there a little bit of an evil empire here because it's the rich continuing to get richer? I mean, as much as we talk about the expansion, do you see things happening in the in the sport where it's going to be really heavy and have-notty, if you will?
I mean, it's tough, especially when it comes to NIL. And I'm going to mostly speak about this too when it comes from playing softball at Syracuse. I know for a fact that is a school that's not getting a lot of money, and it's going to be tough for teams to be able to compete with that, for teams like Syracuse, for teams that are maybe in the bottom half of the ACC or, SEC, constantly getting that money for the most part. So I think that is tough, but I do love the fact that, she was able to get $1 million contract, because you don't hear about that in softball.
Oh, no. Great for her. I mean, good for her.
Yeah.
I'm not, but I'm just, my concern, you obviously know we're an ECU centered program. So I understand, Shane Winkler's done a really fantastic job of building that program up, but you could have the greatest softball coach in the history of man at some of these places. It's just going to be and I'm just wondering, will the money infiltrate like it is apparently in basketball? We know it has in football, and like it likely is going to in baseball. I mean, will this always be an SEC kind of dominated thing with an occasional Big 12 or whoever else popping up?
I don't think it'll always be an SEC thing. I think a lot of other schools are still on the rise. Like, for instance, I'm going to say the ACC. That is a conference that was continually dominated by FSU. And now you're seeing teams like Clemson and Duke and everything else come up. But I think there is still places where the money is going to come. I don't think the SEC I think the SEC will always dominate because it's the SEC. But I think that there's some other conferences that are going to come up and be able to compete with them on a strong level. I mean, we're seeing it even Texas Tech, that's a Big 12. So them coming up, and you obviously have Texas, who's constantly been there, but I love that this year that there's been more competition than just Oklahoma or so I mean, that's a tough question because I hope other schools I hope other conferences are able to compete, and it's tough that the NIL has kind of done this and helped those bigger schools even grow more. But
Well,
I hope it's not always that way.
I agree with you there. The other thing, it kind of gave us all hope to see Liberty knock off A&M. I mean, that's one of the exceptions, or one of the things you can point to there. All right, Faith Kane, prediction time. Who wins the Women's College World Series and why, and in how many games?
Whew, that is tough. I'll just straight out come with my prediction. I think Texas may get the win.
Okay.
The only reason I was about to say Texas Tech. It's tough. It really is. And the reason why I say that is because I believe that if Texas Tech gets the win tonight, they have to rely on Nyjah the entire tournament. So if Texas figures them out in any way, figures her out in any way, then Texas has it. But Texas has a deeper lineup when it comes to pitching. They know that they can rely on some of their other pitchers that they have. So you also have like Mac Morgan, who can step up in the circle, not just Tegan Kavan. Also, they're playing for a lot too. You just had Tegan Kavan, who had her grandmother pass away earlier this week, and you saw her come lights out against Oklahoma. So I just think there's kind of that extra oomph that maybe they're carrying with right now. But it's going to be tight. So I've been wrong a lot this year, so we'll see.
All right, Faith. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And glad you had a great time out in Oklahoma City. And I know you'll enjoy the series beginning with game 1 tonight at 8.
Yes, absolutely. Everyone should watch. It's been a great series.
All right, let's send it now to Philip the Ref Pilkington, a 94.3 The Game Sports Update and Pirate Report. Pilk.
Thank you, PJ. And looking at the transfer portal, the only new name in it today is Taylor Grubbs, relief pitcher, only threw 5 2/3 in his time in a Pirate uniform. However, there is some big news in the American today. One athletic director on the move from one conference team to a team that's sometimes in the conference, as Michael Kelly, who joined South Florida back in 2018, has been named the new athletic director at the Naval Academy. He will be following in the footsteps of Chet Gluttick, who was there for 24 years. Gluttick announced his retirement back on March the 31st. Going elsewhere around the world of sports, Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals tonight at 8 o'clock from Edmonton. The Oilers are slight favors in Game 1 and slightly favored in the series over the Dallas Stars. The Stars did defeat the Oilers in 7 games last year. Or sorry, not the Stars, the Florida Panthers, They did defeat the Oilers last year in 7 games. They took the first 3. Edmonton came back to force Game 7, and the Panthers ended up hoisting the Cup. Women's College World Series final begins tonight at 8 o'clock between Texas and Texas Tech. Both of those teams looking for their first ever Women's College World Series title. At the French Open earlier today, Coco Gauff defeated Madison Keys in 3 sets. Those were the final 2 Americans left in the tournament, so Coco remains the only American in singles on either the male or female side. She will play in the second semifinal tomorrow against Lois Boysen of France. The first semifinal scheduled for 9 o'clock between Aryna Sabalenka and Iga Swiatek. That'll do it for your 94.3 The Game Sports Flash Update and Pirate Report. We're going to take a time out here on the Patrick Johnson Show and look deeper into the Canadian Open with Brian Mull on the other side.
Hey, it's Jim Wells again with Wells Roofing and Gutters here in the beautiful community of Lindale, Bedford. At Wells Roofing and Gutters, we believe in quality first, and that's why we use CertainTeed shingles, which are manufactured in Oxford, North Carolina, a local company. In the event you ever do have a claim or a problem with your roof system, they're local and they come and take care of us in a timely manner. We could leave off some accessories and we could certainly save money, but we believe at Wells Roofing and Gutters in installing the correct way per manufacturer requirements, and we warranty your roof both in-house and also with our supplier, who is CertainTeed. For a job Wells done, no shortcuts taken, and a good quality job on your home, give us a call today, 252-227-8403. We also offer financing, 12 months, no interest, no payments.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Back to the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back. We got a jam-packed show, so let's get started.
Deep breath. Here we go.
We've got golf coming up, and anytime we get to this time of year, we love to talk to our friend Brian Mull, golf writer at BG Mull on X, as we welcome in Brian Mull right now to talk the Canadian Open. We'll get a little U.S. Open primer next week. Mull, of course, will give us the full preview, the full Monty next week, as it were, with the U.S. Open. But lots to talk about in the golf world. Brian Mull, how are you, my friend?
Doing well, P-Man. I hope you are. You and Pilk are holding it down up there in Pitt County.
Hey, and I congratulate your L.A. Dodgers for knocking off the amazing Mets last night. That gives the Chicago Cubs the best record right now. So my Cubby
We
Bears.
aim to please.
So there you have it.
Here, we aim to please out in the city of Angels.
All right, so an unusual amount. More of these golfers on the tour withdrawing from the Canadian Open with very little notice. And the event tees off tomorrow. What is all this about?
Yeah, it's a little tricky. I think in certain scenarios, when you get beyond that top tier, you have to, realize that some of these guys had to go through qualifying and weren't sure if they were going to be in next week's U.S. Open until Monday night, or in a couple of cases even Tuesday morning. So, I think not atypical to see the week before the U.S. Open guys that did make it through the qualifying decide that I need to rest this week, maybe get up to Oakmont on the weekend, try to get myself physically and mentally ready for what is often considered the most difficult of the U.S. Open tests up there at Oakmont. It looks certainly like it's going to be brutal again. So, the Canadian Open, unfortunately, and a great national open with storied tradition, but kind of in a tight spot on this condensed schedule.
Rory McIlroy is in the field. He has won this event previously, and has been one of those events that, kind of gives Rory a little bit of a springboard into the rest of the season in a lot of cases. U.S. Open traditionally does that, but for Rory, it seems like the Canadian Open has kind of been a way for him to start to gin it up and get hot for the stretch run. So we know Rory's in it. Who are some other names that are going to be vying north of the border?
Yeah, not a ton of star power. I mean, obviously we've come to a stretch, really from the Truist through the PGA, and then back-to-back weeks of Colonial and Memorial, where we've seen a lot of the top tier in the field each week. So those guys, this is the obvious one to skip. But if you're an RBC affiliate, as in they give you a lot of money, like Rory, and RBC sponsors the Canadian Open, you will be appearing every year at the Canadian Open, and that good for them. Great fans of golf north of the border. This is a new golf course.
Yeah, they really are.
TPC
They really are.
TPC Toronto. They went away from Glen Abbey, which was the course they used in the Toronto area for many, many years. And but good reviews of this course so far. A lot of the Canadians, Taylor Pendrith and others, have played it quite a bit. And I think it's a good firm test for these guys. As they prepare for a major and even by itself. So we'll see, but not a lot of Ludwig Aubert. Probably the next highest ranked player. Certainly, he's not been playing like that of late, struggling quite a bit since his win out at Torrey Pines earlier in the year. And the Canadian contingent will be strong. I think there's a number. Nick Taylor breaking the long drought with that crazy putt in the playoff a few years ago, and then you look at to beat your guy Tommy Fleetwood, and you look at guys like Pendrith and Hughes, and certainly this is as important to them as any other event, and would love to be holding the trophy on Sunday. And but I think Rory is he's clearly the favorite, and I would expect him. Shane Lowry, Robert McIntyre, another recent winner of this event, guys who've been showing some form too, who you would expect to be in the top 10, with a field of this caliber.
Would you say, are there any tips for guys if you on any of these guys, if you want to maybe lay down some money this week, or would you advise, hey, save it all for the U.S. Open?
Yeah, I would maybe take a couple of placements, top 10, top 20s, but I just think the majors are so much more fun. You've got the wall-to-wall coverage. You can kind of celebrate the dogs from the juice boxers a little bit when you go to a test like Oakmont, that's going to demand you to be just a fortress mentally, and also be dialed in every aspect of your game. It's going to embarrass some guys next week who are off just a little or don't have the right attitude, and there's going to be some high scores, just bogey train, bogey express. So you can kind of sort through that field next week, I think, and find some value, maybe where the market has undervalued some guys. But I wouldn't get too crazy. I mean, Luke Clanton turning pro this week after a number of successful finishes as an amateur, wrapped up his career at Florida State, did not win the national championship he had hoped to help lead the Seminoles to, but his reward is a pairing with Ludwig and Rory on Thursday morning, which is kind of cool. And he's a guy that certainly will be a force, going forward. Be interesting to see how he does now that he can actually earn some cash for his ability.
Let me ask you a little primer on the U.S. Open, and we'll get you on next week, obviously, to discuss it in some further detail. But in the last couple minutes here with you, as Brian Mold joins us here. This is one of the great tournaments in my mind because it is reminiscent of maybe an NCAA basketball tournament, that you have the little guy that could be playing or is out there playing with, maybe a multiple-time major winner. I mean, it's that kind of feel that you can get. It is truly an open tournament to everybody in these United States. What a fabulous concept. It's a huge field. It's always a great test. To me, it's the most intriguing of the, certainly Augusta is. I would put it right up there as just below Augusta as far as the intrigue.
Yeah, but where Augusta is so exclusive, the smallest field, and you have to be on that invite list around Christmas time. And they determined that in a fair way, but certainly they want to limit the field there and keep that more of an intimate event. This is a big, sprawling, much like our country, where it covers a lot of different demographics. And if you can pony up the money and get your golf game to an ability, you can earn the right through 54 holes of good golf, or 36 in some cases, to get a tee time. And I thought, it was fascinating the other day watching a playoff at one of the Ohio sites. And in the playoff, you had Ricky Fowler, who was on the last U.S. Ryder Cup team, Max Homa, who starred on the last U.S. Ryder Cup team, and Cam Young, who was probably the first guy left off. So, 3 of the top 13 Americans, if you will, from 2 years ago. And then here they are in a playoff fighting for one spot out there. And it's just the beauty of it. They have not performed to the standard required in recent years, and they had to go out there and show that they could get it done on the golf course. And I mean, that's to me what golf has always been about. Prove it, earn it, show, put a number by your name that allows you to continue playing. And there'll be some great stories. It's kind of reminiscent of the days leading up to the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. These guys, this is their time to shine. Most of them are going to miss the cut, just not be able to handle this level. But just the sheer experience of competing in the National Open, playing practice rounds, rubbing shoulders with the stars of the game. I mean, it's unforgettable. Some of these guys will never be back, but they'll always be able to say they were there once.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. Max Homa, by the way, carrying his own bag. Did he ditch his caddy? Did I see that right?
He did.
Did he ditch?
He did. Yeah. He shot 41 on the back on Sunday at Muirfield Village to go from, looking like a pretty good week, which he has not had many of those, to finish in 45th or whatever. And I wrongly assumed that the 12th hole was the culprit. That was, without question, the most difficult hole to make a decision. Probably the best hole Jack Nicklaus ever designed. Just a phenomenal par 3. You have to hit the right golf shot. You can't chicken out. No, play safe. He forces you to hit a great shot. And he made a par there, but then he made a 7 and an 8 on the 2 par 5s on the back on Sunday after driving the ball in the fairway. So there were probably some questionable decisions in there and some bad shots. But 15 shots on 2 holes where the field probably averaged 9 is not a good way to make a living. And apparently he had seen enough of his caddy, who a couple of months ago was wearing the white suit at Augusta and repping Jerry Garcia. So what a world.
Last thing, there was this UPS driver who was trying to qualify in Maryland, and apparently he was disqualified when he forgot to hand in his scorecard following the first round of his qualifier. Boy, your heart breaks for that poor guy. But, I mean, that's just kind of, like you say, one of the intriguing stories of this 2-week period leading up to the U.S. Open, and then the actual leading up to the playing of the event next week. I mean, that's the caliber of what you're kind of dealing with.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the process. Anybody who's played tournament golf understands that, like, there's certain procedures. You got to show up on time for your tee time, and at the end of the round, you've got to have your scorecard signed and attested and accurate, and you're responsible for what went in each box. And I've heard people complain, and we're so soft now. Oh, computers can do it. Look, man, we're talking about like 18 holes of golf and checking your score and saying that's what you shot. And like, I hate it for him, but if the trash man left the bags in your driveway every Thursday, he wouldn't have finished his job either. So, it's just part of the deal. And, he'll be all right. And UPS is doing well.
All right, Brian Mull with us. Brian, do appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week ahead of the U.S. Open.
Okay. Everybody have a great weekend, and we'll talk soon.
You too. There he is, our buddy Brian Mull. Great to talk to him. All right, we'll be back to wrap it up right after this on the Patrick Johnson Show.
Your roof is a vital part of protecting your home and family from dangerous storms and hurricanes. At Assist Roofing, we install and maintain metal roofing that provides precise protection. Add value to your home while lowering utility costs with a fortified roof to last a lifetime. With 0% financing, grants, and Energy Star Green Roofing tax credit available, call us to schedule a free consultation so you can weather any storm with confidence.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's cut in color. And let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
If you are interested in living longer and living stronger, Eastern Physical and Lifestyle Medicine is accepting new patients for a limited time. Finding a caring physician can be a challenge. Dr. Billy Smith is board certified in physical medicine and lifestyle medicine and has been practicing in the area for many years. Call for an appointment now to Eastern Physical and Lifestyle Medicine, 252-364-1108 in Greenville. That number again is 252-364-1108.
Looking for a great deal on a new Nissan?
At Greenville Nissan, we've got a great selection of new Nissans for under $30,000.
The stylish Nissan Sentra, offering top-notch fuel economy. The Nissan Altima, known for its comfort and technology.
The Nissan Kicks, the perfect combination with its compact design and performance. The Nissan Versa, delivering incredible value without compromising on features. And don't forget the Nissan Rogue, an award winner for 10 years in a row. Drive it home just for $22 down and $349 a month.
Visit GreenvilleNissan.com today.
Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
And now, the stunning conclusion. Why is everyone screaming? On 94.3 The Game.
Landslide, the act that is a Fleetwood Mac tribute band, will not be participating tomorrow in the concert on the Common. Because of the weather forecast, it has been postponed by a week, so it'll be taking place on June 12th, our concert on the Common. So do make note of that. Same time, 6 o'clock, but it'll be a week from tomorrow rather than tomorrow because of the rain that is in the forecast. So we have that to tell you here, and we'll make mention of it tomorrow, of course, before the program. I think we're still going to get Mark Miller tomorrow for stop by for a segment, maybe. Is that the plan, Pilk? At least have Miller come by for a segment?
Yeah,
little fun and games with Mark Miller?
Little fun and games. He's got a fun story from Conway that he wants to tell everybody. So
he was down at Conway with his sons watching the Pirates in the regional. So that'll be good. How about the news you broke at the bottom of the hour, which was that Mike Kelly, who I just saw down in Tampa a couple weeks ago, is moving from USF to affiliate member, football-only member in the American Navy. And I looked up Kelly's age during the break. Kelly's 54, so he's not exactly on the inward nine. You know, maybe if he is, he's right at maybe he's in the clubhouse getting a sandwich before he makes the turn.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like he's got a lot of mileage still left, a lot of tread still left on the tire as far as his work goes and what have you. And I'm a little, you know, I always try to look at what's the message here. and Navy is a national brand. And what did we talk about in the first segment is, these big, Navy and Army, even though they're not NIL, they play that unorthodox style, they're national brands. More so than Iowa State or Mississippi State or whoever. They're more and so's BYU for that matter.
I was about to say that.
I can't see a lot of this going down without a huge fight from some of these people trying to get their way in, or institutions trying to get their way into it. What's interesting to me is Kelly must feel like, because what do we hear a lot, Pilk, when we read these articles, these think pieces? Oh, it's going to be USF. They're the ones poised to go and make the next move. And they're going to build a 35,000 seat football stadium on their campus. I don't know if that's next move ready. I think it's a great thing that they're doing. And frankly, we probably need one that's not 50, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know, man. I look at that as, what does Kelly know that we don't know?
What I'm going to say is, it felt like when the Big East dismantled, USF was the last name that was going to get picked up by any of the other conferences. Cincinnati, Houston, Memphis, all those schools, even though they went to the American as well, were over them in the conversations. Would they go to the ACC? South Florida hadn't on it.
But I mean, Kelly's a guy who was on the BCS or the playoff thing to start the playoff. He was in the ACC office. I mean, he's worked.
Oh yeah, he knows.
It's interesting that he moves to Navy. We'll talk
it's
more
tough
about
job,
it
but
tomorrow.
if you're Navy, great hire because you've got a guy who's been on all that. And the hardest jobs are Army, Navy, Air Force in the AD.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to Brian Mold. Thanks to Faith Kane. Thanks to Pilk. See you in the morning on Talk of the Town and back here at 5 tomorrow.